All right, I'm back. Looks like Ryan's here. So, stream is up.
Hey guys.
Hey, Ryan. And we've set up a lightning talk area over at the hedges. So if anyone wants to see the controls for spatial, you can go in the bottom right menu, three-dot menu, and there's a help and a controls. So if you click controls, it'll show you the controls. They've just been improving things a bit. You can now use shift to run, space to jump, and WASD to move, or you can click the ground. Click and drag to rotate your view. If you have a mouse, you can scroll in and out to zoom in and out. If you zoom all the way up, you go into first person mode. A little more immersive. I see everyone's found the lightning talk. That's a good spot. Definitely see from up here.
Yeah, it's a good vantage point there.
We'll give everyone probably about 5 more minutes to get settled and figure out the platform. But I'm super excited. Chris from Geopipe was really kind of show up on really short notice, and we've been seeing on social media some posts about their New York City game optimized digital twin, which is really exciting. So yeah, I'm really pumped to see and actually maybe visit some of their New York model today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me. It's a good opportunity to actually get in my Quest 2 and, do something fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. One of the things we were doing was to give maybe get some links to Spectra's site so folks can see what's going on there. I'm just gonna do one here.
There's one to the main site behind us
There is?
underneath this little.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah. So our website's up here. So we'll probably, when folks get settled, we'll just do a little intro
Test
about
one.
Spectra Cities and what we're doing here, and then we'll hand it over to Chris. Hi, folks. Probably about 4 more minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. We're gonna meet up for the talk over here at the hedges. So you follow Spectra's avatar here with the pink hair. We'll show you where the speaker is going to be presenting. There's some slides over here. If anyone is having technical issues, you can always view our YouTube stream, which is linked in the chat and in our announcements channel on Discord. So this way, everybody, you can click the ground to teleport, or you can use your WASD keys as well. You'll be able to hear the speaker from everywhere because we have global voice on, but if you want to see the slides, you'll have to come over to where people are meeting up.
Just 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can
Okay,
hear you,
good.
Patrick.
Awesome.
Great.
Better than last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fit. We might want to give the mic to Chris when the talk actually starts so that we can have it focus on him, but I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I think we'll be good though. It seems pretty good now. There might be one open mic somewhere, but I think we'll be all right. Welcome everyone. If you can navigate, looks like someone's trying to join or they're teleporting around. Oh, that's good. Okay. If you turn around to the side of the intersection that has the is it a tiger, leopard street art up here with the green hedges, that's where we're meeting up for the talk. There might be a couple duplicates waiting at the spawn point, so that's probably fine. Most of us have found it. I think we'll get started in 1 minute. Oh, we do need Ryan though, because we need Ryan to introduce Spectra. So
Did Ryan disappear?
oh, he's here at the spawn. Hey, Ryan.
I'm back. I'm back.
Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I was on.
you swapped over.
Yeah, so I was on mobile and I switched to the desktop because I can see a little bit better.
Oh, great. Okay, so great. Now that Ryan's here, we can probably start. Why don't you come up here with Christopher, Ryan? Getting used to our virtual embodied state here. By the way, the view of your avatar follows your cursor if you're on browser. So you notice that you can make your head move by moving your mouse, which is kind of interesting. Side effect of that is that it makes it so people are always looking at the ground. But if you want to nod or move your head, you can actually just move your mouse around, which is kind of cool. Great. Okay, so we're here. Let's get started. If everybody, maybe just while we're doing the presentation, you might want to mute your microphones in the bottom left, so that we minimize our open mic issues. And then we can unmute for questions, and you're also free to type questions in the chat as well. So my name is Nick. I'm a Nick Koff on Discord, and I'm the community manager and developer relations for Spectra Cities. Spectra is a lot of things, and in fact, we're going to post a survey to try to understand which parts of Spectra you might be most excited about. But primarily, we're an open source city project. We're building an open source city for the future in order to think about how to build real cities of the future. And everything you see around you was created by the Spectra community, and it is actually open source, CC0 assets. And we're trying to think about what does a car-free city look like that we could potentially build somewhere. So we're sort of somewhere in between dream city of the future and actually buildable, tangible city, which is kind of an interesting, awkward place. But we're very, very excited to bring together a community that combines physical placemakers and virtual world builders, so we can share our knowledge to learn about the possibilities of XR urbanism, this emerging field of mixed reality city making. I'll turn it over to Ryan, the founder of Spectra Cities, to tell you a little bit more about how he got started on this and where we're going.
Yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, I've been thinking about what would the ideal city look like for quite a long time. I studied urban planning in New York City. I briefly worked for the New York City Department of Transportation in the bike and pedestrian unit, and spent a lot of time kind of traveling and going to different places and thinking about what's working in the city and what's not working in the city and what you might do differently. And probably the biggest thing for me in my career was just seeing how much of our space is dedicated to moving automobiles or storing automobiles, relative to spaces for people to enjoy, or transportation from smaller vehicles. And so Spectra, first and foremost, is a place optimized for biking and walking, and where the sort of logistics uses of the street are moved to the basement level. The streets are very much optimized for bicycles and kind of golf cart sized vehicles. And there's even these elevated walkways connecting much of the city, that are kind of like highly pedestrianized zone, and you can really navigate the entire city, through like one continuous park. So taking something like the High Line in New York City, for example, which was an inspiration, but extending that to be a network that really covers the vast majority of the city. And so, the focus of today, or the conversation today, is going to include Geopipe, or focus on Geopipe. We just saw this week, the workflow to very quickly download sections of a city and upload it into Spatial, and we thought that was really, really interesting for our community. There's many neighborhoods around the world that inspired the work that we've done and what we were trying to do. And from the beginning, we talked about, well, wouldn't it be cool if some existing spaces that were our inspiration were kind of like woven into the virtual world that we're creating? And so, yeah, excited to learn more about Geopipe and how what they've built can allow us to kind of quickly and easily do that and have our kind of imagination spaces that we're wanting to build live alongside the digital twins of some of our favorite places. And so we're excited to see that today.
Yeah.
We'll have a
thanks,
chance
Ryan.
to maybe go around some of the so we'll have a chance to maybe go around through some of the scenes today, but today really it's a conversation about Geopipe. Feel free to explore this. These scenes are live all the time, so you can kind of browse the different scenes that we've created here. But yeah, the conversation today is less of a tour and more of a conversation about Geopipe and how we might.
You can actually click the Spectra avatar here. You can actually click the Spectra avatar here with the pink hair, and from our account page, you'll see we have about 8 spaces published, which are different sections of the city
think we lost audio.
concept.
Yeah, Nick, are you still? You might be muted.
Oh,
I could
can you hear
hear.
me now?
I can hear other people, but I'm not hearing Nick
Okay.
now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Rejoined.
Yeah, I just rejoined. I think it just got cut. You can hear me now?
Oh, there we go. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Sorry. So there's a link here to the survey. It'd be great. It takes about a minute. Just tell us what you're excited about when it comes to virtual cities. And then we also, if you want to see Spectra's other spaces, you can access them from this Spectra avatar here, the pink hair. If you go to the account page, you'll see we have about 8 different spaces from Spectra that you can see. I'm just gonna hang on. I'm gonna mute this person here because we've gone public. So, second.
Nick, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm all set. Okay,
wanna
so
pass
we're
the
all set now. Yeah, Christopher, you still have the mic on? Sorry. Okay, I just need to change because I muted everyone temporarily.
There. I think I'm on.
I think it's working.
Now.
Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, now that that's set, yeah, if you want to see our spaces, you can check them from our Spectra account here with the pink hair. We've got about 8 of them to explore. And now I'm going to hand it over to Chris from Geopipe to tell us a little bit about, we're going to talk about digital twins. And Chris, I don't know if you've tried manipulating the slide deck, but there's some arrows here.
I did. Yeah, it
Okay.
looks like I can flip my way.
I'll leave the
backwards
survey
and
down here
forwards.
on the lower
Perfect.
left here.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here
You can
today
press
and
the C
to
key to clap,
talk a
by the way.
little bit about digital twins, about reality, and this is actually really interesting for me because I'm a big proponent of public transit, of trains, and I'm very excited about the work that you're doing here of creating more not so car centric cities. So if there's something we at Geopipe can do to help visualize how the real world of today can compare with hopefully an improved world of tomorrow, that's really exciting. So yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Geopipe. Starting with myself, I'm Christopher Mitchell. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Geopipe. I created Geopipe initially a few years ago with my longtime friend and colleague, Thomas Dickerson. We both have spent a very long time in the game design space, even while working on a pair of PhDs in computer science. We were both very interested in hobby video game development from various angles. And one of the things that first excited me about the mixing of the virtual and the real world was trying to put all of New York City into Minecraft as a full-scale one-to-one copy. I thought, well, it would be great to be able to build my own buildings and imagine what New York City could look like if it was in Minecraft, redesign it, recreate it. I certainly didn't want to sit there, especially during a PhD, and build every single building, tree, road, and sidewalk by hand. So I started thinking about how AI could help, how it would be possible to automatically generate rich digital twins of the real world. I very quickly discovered that that wasn't really technology that existed. Even something like Google Earth, you couldn't actually pull in and use inside a game because it's just how the world looks, not what's in the world. There's no knowledge about what's actually there. And hence was founded Geopipe. So today we have built our way from just 2 founders to now a team of 15. And we are basically creating the real world in digital space for every creator. We want to make it possible to take today's reality, understand it, parse it, and turn it into rich 3D environments that we can do things like this that we're doing today. And whether you're an indie developer, a AAA game studio, a simulation creator, you name it. So let me see if I can push my way forward here. This is something we've seen across a lot of different industries today, that increasingly people are really enthusiastic about mixing the virtual and the real world, but they really can't do it. Whether it's someone like a well-known AR company that builds an AR game on top of the real world, but only can update their world every 4 years because there's still human filtering that must be done on the real world, or a really well-known AAA company that built a game set in the real New York City, but had to simplify it down and still took teams of dozens of artists years to build that map. You know, across simulation, where maybe you want to train autonomous vehicles, maybe you want to do crowd simulation for what a better city of tomorrow could look like. Again, these companies are spending millions upon millions of dollars, and these projects can take years of time to actually hand build these 3D models of reality today. So the solution that we've come up with gets the best of both worlds. So photogrammetry, what you've probably seen in something like Google Earth, is really quick. You can take a bunch of photographs, infer the 3D structure of the world. It looks great. You can explore it. Perfect. But because there's no metadata about what's actually there, if we were to be holding the same meeting in that virtual world, we would have a ground that had weird spikes. We'd have trees that were these strange blobs, buildings that had shadows baked in. It's not useful for interactive or real-time simulations. You could hand model the world, but then you'd run into the same problem I ran into when I thought about turning New York City into Minecraft. You have to build every single building, tree, traffic light by hand. It just doesn't scale. So the solution is to get the visual quality of hand modeling with the speed of something like photogrammetry, of an automatic approach. At Geopipe, we do this by starting with raw sensor data about the world. We take things like photos, laser scans, traditional maps, and we pass that through an AI pipeline. AI is a great buzzword today, but this is something we've been working on quite a while. There's real machine learning underneath here. A bunch of different ML techniques, both on the state of the art, the existing cutting edge, and a set of things we've created ourselves, where we can actually segment the world into, okay, this is a building, this is a tree, this is a sidewalk, and then apply specific techniques to say, okay, let's look at this building. We see it's made of brick, it has 10 stories, it has a gabled roof, and then we have rich metadata describing the world in 3D that we can pass directly to a user who wants to do something like, use it to count how many square feet of road there are versus, how many square feet of sidewalk there are. And of course, maybe not so much in a city like New York where it'd be bad enough, but a city like Dallas where I bet half of it is parking lots, that's something that I'm very aware of. Or conversely, we actually go one step further and do something called procedural modeling, where we take all of that metadata and from the ground up, build it into rich, game-ready, polygon-efficient 3D worlds like the one that you can access through a portal that's somewhere around here for one of Geopipe's sample models, where you can actually immediately pull those into your own applications. We've seen, obviously some great stuff with spatial. John over there actually also published a cool demo earlier this week of combining spatial and Geopipe, or into Unity, Unreal, you name it, anywhere where you can import a 3D model and use it. And the advantage of our approach is, not only do you get these highly detailed models quickly, you also still have that metadata embedded, so you can make these interactive. You know what a window is, so it'll be reflective. It could potentially break. You have doors that can open. You could restrict cars to only drive on the things that are labeled as roads, etc. And today we are making these available to pretty much everyone. We've published this in New York City for free. You can get it on our website, geopipe.ai. We're also working on expanding our coverage this year, so we aim to have about a dozen cities at that same level of quality by the end of the year. And I strongly encourage you, if you're working on something in the gaming space, in the VR space, and you want to try building in a large scale environment, even, whether it being New York City is important to you or not, it's really fun just to have a huge environment that you can start building in. So that's really all I wanted to share as me just talking at you. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, or if there's any other details that I can mention, either about what we do at Geopipe, about my thoughts on, digital twins and the intersection of VR and gaming, or wherever you'd like to take the conversation.
That's great. Thank you so much. And looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts and comments. I had one question about how you plan to like improve the models over time.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
For example, we just took a look and we were interested in the High Line because it's
Yep.
kind of referenced in our project. And I think the details that they pulled in, the textures weren't exactly correct, and probably there's a lot of stuff that's generated. How do you kind of train or edit or improve it?
Yep.
From the initial model to where we want it to be.
Yeah, great question. So it's a mix of making more AI and training the existing AI to be better. So we've built this as a closed loop, mostly an automated system. So for example, we can rebuild our New York City every 12 to 24 hours, depending on how many servers we're throwing at it. But we also, of course, as you say, want to make it better. So for example, right now, our system will highlight things that seem like they're wrong. So one of the great data sources we have available to us are point clouds. If you're not familiar, this is either taking a bunch of photographs like photogrammetry from different angles and inferring where there's a physical point, where there's a material in the real world, or you can use a LiDAR or laser scanning and, again, create this three-dimensional cloud of points where the real world has something. You don't know exactly what's there or how those points are connected. And that's a big part of what our AI does, figure out how those points are connected into cubes and triangles and tree shapes and so on. But our system can see where that point cloud is far away from something we've detected, say like the deck or the piles, the columns holding up the High Line, see that that's wrong, ask a human, hey, I don't understand this. What is this? And then, hopefully the next time it goes through, it'll have a better sense of the world. Another thing you mentioned is material. So right now we're mostly working from top-down information. So for example, the materials on the side of something like a building or the High Line, we infer or guesstimate. As we're pulling in more data, as we're getting things like oblique angle images or even street level imagery, then we can be actually filling in more information, knowing precisely what's there rather than guesstimating. And the final component of this is we have a number of great AI folks on our team that are building up constantly new techniques. So for example, the streetlights that you'll see in our models are accurately detected of exactly where the streetlights are. That's something that our AI team finished about a month ago. And we have lots of other things like that coming down the pipeline, much more detail to the massing of buildings, being able to fill in lanes in the roads, adding traffic lights, being able to get 3D road networks and 3D transportation networks. All of those are ongoing levels of detail that we're adding. And the nice thing, because this is automated, once we add a new thing to the pipeline, every city that we have will have those as well. So, we're also really excited to accept feedback from you folks on, number one, what level of detail is most important to you, what things you want to see added to the world, and number two, what cities you really care about, as we continue to build our priority list of what cities we're going to be building next.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
What data sources do you have for street level data for images? Is there a good data set for that, or would that be something like if there's a big enough community and you like wanted to get a particular neighborhood, people can kind of get street photos, or is there enough there's enough good photos available where you don't?
It's definitely easier to get top-down aerial data than it is to get street-level imagery. The nice thing is, although we started with publicly available data, so we started working with data from federal and city governments, from open source places, we've increasingly moved towards working with private companies that have their own data collection systems, whether that's an existing library of data, going out and driving a car, flying a drone, flying a fixed-wing aircraft. And in some cases, those data providers have data sets of street-level imagery that we can use, or we can commission them to go out and get them. As we're scaling up, we anticipate that a lot of our work will be with some of these bigger data providers, bigger tech companies that have existing libraries that they might be able to work with us to use. And in exchange, we have great metadata that we can extract from that information that's a value add for them.
Thank you.
Oh, this is so cool. Thank you so much, Christopher, for presentation. It's
My
kind
pleasure.
of funny that we come into this virtual world and we're still sitting watching a PowerPoint presentation, right? So maybe we should move our legs a little bit and explore some of the spaces. Now, we brought in a model of Bryant Park from Geopipe and published it, but I know that John was also here, who maybe has published something else. So I'm wondering, we might be able to hop over and like explore some of New York City.
Yeah, can we drop a portal to go from
Yeah,
here
there's
to
Bryant Park portal is here. Now this is, keep in mind, we did this in about 15 minutes. So from dropping the GLB from Geopipe and then re-uploading it on the standard custom environment on Spatial, just as is, moving it a little bit to match the ground, and that's what we got here. So if you can imagine, if you took an extra couple hours to like do it in Unity, you'd be able to get the reflections on the windows and all the textures in the trees looking like even better than this. But this is just in 15 minutes, I think is amazing. So why don't we hop over? It would be this portal. You just click it and confirm, and we'll meet over there. It might be a little bit glitchy, but bear with us. If you have trouble, you can always watch the YouTube stream and find us that way. And then the link back to this space is in our Discord. We'll see you over there. I'll wait till everyone else is
and
through.
then Nick, maybe we drop a link to John's space when we're over there too.
Yeah,
so we can
yeah.
kinda
If
go
John
from
wants
one
to
the next.
share the space, we can check it out too.
Sure, can do. I can
Okay,
drop a
cool.
link in the
Alright,
chat
meet you
in
there.
the next space.
Cool.
All right. See everybody over there. We're here. You recognize this place, Ryan?
Yeah, this is great.
This is Brian.
How many
Park
blocks did
over
you?
here.
I grabbed a section that's about maybe 20 square blocks. This was about a 50 megabyte GLB. So I just grabbed
Yeah, the
Share
limit
to
for the
about
standard
Grand
upload
Central
method is
terminal.
about 100 megabyte limit, I think, if you're not going to use the Unity SDK. That's
Yeah.
still quite
So
a
this
lot.
is just
One of the interesting-
this, even the ground level.
What was that? Is
Yep.
the
Yeah.
ground-
So accurate terrain, we get
Accurate
the
terrain
contours
generation,
of
yeah.
the terrain.
Yeah, fascinating.
One of the things that's going to be coming, and we're going to be at GDC this year, so I hope to see you folks there if you're going to be at GDC.
Oh, that would be fun.
Is one of our AI components that we've been building for the last few months is recognizing terrain, so understanding the difference between roads and concrete and grass and dirt and water. And while right now we've pasted some of the imagery right on the terrain, so you can see it's kind of pixelated in Spatial. I guess they do a little bit of downsampling on images. Soon that's going to be actual grass and actual sand and so on.
So cool. Yeah, I'm reading the street sign is actually accurate. It says West 42nd Street.
I had to pick Bryant Park because for our New York City Minecraft that we published as a public server last December, Bryant Park was kind of the starting point where everybody's spraying from.
This is cool.
Yep.
John posted the link to the Lower Manhattan space.
Oh, cool.
Do you want to copy that and create a portal?
Yeah, Matt, do you think you could do that? I'm kind
best
of
way to do
complicated with
that.
my stream.
I am not a host in this space.
Oh, really? Oh, right. Let me do that real quick.
Okay.
Ryan, Matt, and Christopher, and I'll give it to Yeah, I think this will open in a new tab.
Okay,
Matt,
I
are you
just
gonna?
dropped it in.
You'll be
Yeah, I
able to create it.
just added it.
Can you recall? I think we're all scattered to the winds right now. Can you can you all like suck us to one place?
Yeah, and I'm gonna
There
make
we go.
this thing
Oh, I see you.
massive
I see you
too.
over there now.
Yeah.
There we go. I could see that on the horizon as you were doing that.
I'll see you guys over
Massive
there.
bubble.
Maybe I'll make it a little
Okay,
bigger. so
let's
you
check
can
out the
see.
other one.
All right.
Cool.
Now, see, this is neat because it shows what you can do with a little bit more time, decoration, etc.
Yeah, brought in some trees.
Yeah, some
I
food
think you brought in some
carts.
trees. Or were those
Well, these
were
are the
those
trees. No,
generated?
these are generated
Do we
with
have
the
John?
thing. These food trucks are definitely brought in. Handmade churros.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
some of
we'll
these
ask John
buildings are unique.
if he brought if the tree. John, were these trees generated or did you bring them in afterward?
They are generated.
John?
Cool. Here we are.
I don't see you guys.
We're over
Got
in
some
John-
different
over
areas.
here.
And with me.
This is
Where's Ryan?
not our
This is pretty
space, so we
great.
don't have host here, but we're over by the main drag.
Yeah, I don't know where you. I don't.
Here's Chris over here.
I'm by the
A
trucks.
reminder to check your mute buttons in the bottom left, because every time you join a space, it remutes people.
Yeah, especially if you have to refresh. Oh, I see Ryan. You're on the other side of the street from us.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is cool. This building has been the
Hey,
We're
massing
all
of
the way
this
over
building is more
here.
detailed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
The
interesting.
underground.
You can see it learning as it goes. Actually, I'm as a born and raised New Yorker myself. This is the entrance to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. So this heads down into the
Oh
ground
wow,
after it goes
into the
into this
tunnel.
building.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
huh.
I'm so
Really
excited to see
cool.
all the games and stuff that are going to come out of this. I mean, the fact that it's been optimized is like huge. Having played with like photogrammetry assets and stuff, like they're so hard to put into anything that's going to be real
They
time.
can be super
right?
heavy.
Mhm.
So, are there any buildings in the model that are unique that were sort of included special geometry? It looks like this one over here, this church. Oh, except it's been retextured, but yeah, they got the steeple and everything.
Yep. So there are a few that have gotten a little extra human
This
metadata
modernist
added to
church.
them.
That's so cool.
So does some of this generation stuff use what like Microsoft has used for their Microsoft Flight Simulator, or is
Yeah.
there some similar section there?
Yeah, similar idea. So what we're seeing with their digital twin primarily is they're working from like satellite imagery, so that a little bit limits the level of detail. Obviously, for the most part, they only need that 30,000-foot view. I think
Yeah.
mostly they custom build like the airport, so I think they have a really great airport procedural generator that's similar to our,
Yes.
city scale procedural generator. I think they're a little bit limited in what they can do at like human scale in cities from the data sources that they're working from, but it'll be really interesting to see how that evolves.
Mm-hmm. No, they got some pretty good stuff for marking up roads. I even watched a video on how they did the procedural generation of like airports and how
Oh, cool.
they would go into much detail of marking certain places and just to generate the default. And then of course you have some people just model entire airport for
Right.
special airports.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. The procedural modeling approach of, being able to start from like metadata descriptions of like, here's a polyline of a road and here's the footprint of a building, and then kind of automatically generate that up into something 3D, I think can be really powerful.
Yeah, this is wow. Yeah, if you haven't seen the church, it's over here. Oh yeah, and then John, feel free to share a little bit about yourself. I mean, we're enjoying the model that you pulled in here. So
Yeah, hi guys. Sorry, I was on mute. I unfortunately had two meetings going at the same time. But yeah, I was. It was such a pleasure to see from Geopipe post the free New York City model. I was like, wow, that's. Let me just see as fast as I can, see if there's a GLB export, because I wasn't familiar with Geopipe. And then, of course, to my pleasure, there was. And then I know spatial pretty well, so I'm like, you know what? I'm creating a digital twin of New York City as fast as possible. I work quite a lot in spatial, and I was immediately thought there's an opportunity here to, I think, demystify the complexity of what's involved in identifying digital twins, bringing them to life, playing with them yourself if you don't work in that industry or have access to these types of high definition models. And it worked really well. I got hit up by a lot of people where they were like, thanks for showing me how easy it can be to bring something realistic, obviously a pretty incredible model of New York City, to life in something like this. And folks were just like, wow, this is my own private New York City. Look how clean it is. There's no trash. There's no people. And it was really exciting. And by way of introduction, I work with global brands. I lead innovation for a global creative agency out of New York City under Omnicom and TBWA. And my role really is to look at the next generation of creative storytelling for brands, where websites and the traditional creative storytelling method that primarily is linear, i.e. watch a video start to finish or scroll a website top to bottom, now to be able to offer the ability for customers and consumers to be a character in the brand story, step inside the story, explore the brand in, all these degrees of freedom, is a narrative that's really interesting to many large brands. And we're seeing a lot, look at this as the 3D version of the website. So I had a lot of folks comment on the stuff I post about metaverse and virtual spaces, etc. And even as much as connecting colleagues and remote workforces together beyond a Zoom meeting into spaces like this. And folks would ask me, John, how do I go there? How do I experience the metaverse? How do I step inside a virtual space? So I also started running courses as well to take business leaders and curious creative people into these spaces to explore the possibilities for both leisure and for work and creativity. So it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks so much for the chance to share. This
so
really
great,
was
John.
a super quick effort.
Thank you
couldn't
so
have been
much.
put together if it wasn't for the folks at Geopipe.
Yeah, thanks for bringing so much attention to this topic, because it's how we found out about it and connected again with. It's funny, I met Geopipe back in 2018 when we were doing this Hollow Cities hackathon at Looking Glass that makes the light field displays, and back then it was like no one was talking about XR for cities. Even Looking Glass had not thought about using their hardware for cities. But since then, it's just this explosion, and even now it's still like on the very cutting edge. But everyone here to be like a part of that is super exciting. Like, you can imagine where this stuff might be in 5 years. And so when we designed Spectra cities, the reason we did it classic open source model, CC0, is because we want to be flexible to adapt to stuff like this that's happening like every week, right? And within 5 years, we don't know what platforms are going to emerge for doing this type of mixed reality urbanism, but we're going to be there, and we're going to have assets that are created by the community, for the community, and for everyone to use, that we can port over cross-platform and experiment with all kinds of mashups. Like, I've also done, in about 20 minutes, I was able to pull one of these in, combine it with our city so that you could see what our city block looked like next to like Tompkins Square Park, and just being able to do that type of comparison and have them both be pretty much accurate to scale is like, huge. So really excited for the possibilities. I think with Spatial's Unity toolkit, you can now actually add the reflections on the windows and do some even more polish than we see here. So I would be excited to explore that.
Mixed reality urbanism. I have not heard that term. I love that phrase. I'm going to start using that.
Oh, we've got
That's
more.
exactly
Virtual
how
city
to describe
making.
it.
What do we call it? So Spectra cities, if you're a member, which you are now, you are a city modder. And so we think that city modders are going to be sort of the next city planners. It's not just experts anymore. Everybody's going to be building together. You know, Minecraft was very much predicting, I think, where we're going with a lot of this stuff.
Totally.
I think it's amazing the tools the tools that are available now that just weren't even there, say, a year or two ago. The idea that, you know, how many hundreds or thousands of hours would you need to have a replica of a city and all the models created, and then to get like a multiplayer instance up and running where we can all share a space. You know, kind of the problem that Spatial has been figuring out. You know, that you would have to do all kinds of work in Unity and spend many, many months just getting that up and running. So the fact that you can go from like model of a city to environment we're all hanging out in and having a conversation in like 10 minutes, that's what blew me away about your tweet, John. It's like, holy crap, like the tools there are there to like to do it much more quickly, and you don't need a huge technical knowledge to be able to do it. Chris, I have a question for you. If
Go for it.
you're still there, yeah.
Yeah,
So
still here.
so right now you're very much kind of creating digital twins from the source images, aerial and street level. Have you thought about kind of prompt based as well for kind of prompting into existence new space? And do the models that you've developed for creating digital twins, does that give you any sort of advantages if you moved into more of a prompt or you know, non-replicated kind of new places? You know, does this work kind of transition to that?
Yeah, this is something we've thought a lot about, you know, generative spaces that are, you know, structured after the real world, but not the real world, you know, brand new spaces. So a huge industry today is creating synthetic data for a lot of different things, like, say, training autonomous vehicles and other types of systems, where you need so much data that just going out and taking pictures of the real world isn't enough. Today, the solution is, you know, make fake cities, but they often are built with the assumptions of the artist, like, you know, every street meets at a right angle to each other or something like that.
Hi,
So
nice to meet you. How's it going?
all the data we have in our system of, you know, teaching us AI how to rebuild reality.
Oh yeah, we have moved. So what happened is we actually have moved over to another scene right now.
You know, instead
I'm
of
going to share the link to
put
it.
in a random number, you can generate a fake city. And this
in
is
the
something
visitor center.
we're keeping a close eye on for, you know, what we could do with this and who needs this, because I think it can be something really powerful.
You can also watch on YouTube.
And I
if
certainly
you
see,
can't
you know,
find
with
us or have
Spectra,
any
how
tech
that could be
problems,
a
from the
really
announcements channel,
valuable
there's a
tool
live
for
stream.
people to have.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome to hear you've kind of already contemplated that. Because yeah, I think replicating the real world is great, and then also being able to quickly create new spaces based on ideally just based on text would be amazing. Or even if you're in a real space and say, okay, I'm in a 5-lane or 6-lane road inside of New York, which exists. And instead of having, you know, vehicle moving lanes, like what would that space look like completely reprogrammed around, you know, pedestrians or cyclists, and just be able to like speak that into existence, and the model would be
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's some cool
that
tools
would be great.
for this type of stuff as well, like that have been around for a while. Like Street Mix is one, and this one's 3D Street, and they're both for like say I want to pull up a 5-lane street with a certain specification. They do that to accurate scale, and some of them will let you export. Street Mix is 2D, but 3D Street is 3D, and you can sort of export those models in as well. So one of the things we did in our Spectra intersection is we got like sort of like the typical American 4-lane, you know, strode street section, and we can drag it in to show exactly the comparison. Like, how does it feel when it's a street for cars versus a street for people and bikes? Yeah, love these use cases, like different types of comparisons, mashing up two cities together. I think will be awesome with maybe New York and another city, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What if LA had New York City's layout?
Oh man, LA and New York combo. Super interesting. Or just make a giant park that's like an amalgamation of all these different parks of the cities. I mean, the types of tours that you could do now, like across different cities, you could have some very interesting. I'd love to get some landscape architects or urbanists or historians in, right? And they could show you all kinds of stuff, tell stories in a way that you can't usually.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we got about 10 minutes left. I sense that we're starting to wind down. There's some people that just joined as well. So, feel free to explore if you just hopped in here. I posted a link to this space in our visitor center channel in Spectra Discord, so you can visit anytime. And we're going to keep experimenting with this, and maybe put together some different spaces, maybe combined with Spectra, etc. So if you'd like to keep working on projects with Spectra, we're a community. We do all kinds of projects, and if you joined our Discord, you may have the visitor tag. If you want to see our member channels where we work on projects every week, you can go to the Join Spectra channel up at the very top. And just tell us a little about yourself, agree to the rules, and then you'll be able to see sort of where our projects are happening. We've got some interesting project ideas. Matt and I are working on a board game concept for this Spectra, and Patrick was interested in building a village based on our city concept, like what would the rural area look like? So that's another one. Daryl's also been talking about training simulations, how you might do different types of training. What if there was a placemaking or tactical urbanism, curriculum course that you could run in a place like Spectra or this model to learn about some of those techniques. So immersive training is an interesting topic too. But yeah, we'll see you, in the Discord. Feel free to share anything you're working on at any time. We chat in there, and sometimes like on Thursday nights, like tonight, we'll spend some time working on projects too and doing hack nights. So everyone's welcome. Yeah. You got anything else, Ryan? Any call to actions, or Christopher as well? Anything that Geopipe's doing coming up?
And the big one is one I mentioned earlier. We're going to be at TDC, so feel free to stop by. I'd love to meet you all.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if you do create anything cool with what we're building, either in Spatial, with Spectra, in Unity, Unreal, you name it, I'd love to see it. Feel free to send it along to me. I'll have a Discord that I'm sure you can find either on our site or through our socials. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll definitely repost, and there's a recording of this meetup, and also on March 21st in New York City, we're doing an event at Cornell Tech called Placemaking Across Realities, and it's free, and it'd be great to see everybody there. And in fact, if you want to show anything from Geopipe, we have a little exhibitors corner as well going for it. So awesome. That would be super neat to show off some of this stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great.
Let me just we'll wrap up, but I'm just gonna find the link to our event, our New York event, just so I can post it in the chat. It should be fun. We've got some interesting panelists we're going to be announcing, like possibly today or tomorrow. Is it tours and events? So Greg Lindsay, who's a fellow at Cornell Tech, has been doing a whole series called the Metaverse Metropolis, a series of events. And he's been really bringing together all the leaders of public officials, also private companies, and talking about like how will AR layers in cities be regulated, all these interesting questions. And so our event is part of that series. And this is the link where you can RSVP if you're based in New York or want to come visit. Really looking forward to that. Thanks for coming, everybody. We do these every Thursday. We switch the time around, so next Thursday it's going to be more Eastern time zone friendly, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we've got more guests coming as well to give presentations. We'll probably get a calendar up for our next newsletter at the end of the month, but we're really excited to talk about. If you have anything you want to talk about in your work related to cities or just XR, feel free to reach out. We got some dates in March that we can still take guest speakers, so thanks everyone for coming. This was a really great meetup. It was nice to see everybody.
Awesome. Thanks. Nice to meet everyone. See you around.
Yeah. Cheers.